Good day everybody, welcome back or welcome to It's a Small Vlog, and today I'm here at the Magic Kingdom on this beautiful day for a big construction update. Again, this has been long overdue. I haven't covered the construction here at the Magic Kingdom since I believe October, and here we are in February. It's a very warm February day, but it is nonetheless beautiful. We have a lot to talk about today. We have some updates regarding the new parade coming to the Magic Kingdom this summer called Disney Starlight. We have some updates on the Pirates of the Caribbean Tavern over in Adventureland, and then there is a ton that we have to talk about happening over in Frontierland with the Big Thunder Mountain refurbishment, what's going on with the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, and a few other things as well. I'm going to cut right to the chase in today's video because we have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's get started. Also, really quick little side note, a lot of today's updates, there's a lot of minor stuff happening here at the Magic Kingdom, and one of those very minor things has to do with the train station here on Main Street, USA. There's some walls up right here. They're doing some sort of refurb to the stairwell. You can still get up here. As you can see, the train is still running, but right in this little center area from the top to the bottom, they do have some walls up. Not exactly sure what it's for, but just something to make note of. All right, really quick, everybody, I apologize for the delay again, but there's another kind of minor update happening right here on Main Street. On the right side of Main Street, kind of near where the castle is in the hub area, there's some scaffolding surrounding the Plaza restaurant. Again, it's unclear what's happening. Again, it's most likely some facade repainting. That's usually what this stuff is for. But again, just another little update right here on the right side of Main Street, the Plaza restaurant. It's still open, it's just that the exterior is currently going under some maintenance. Beginning today's video, I want to take a moment to quickly discuss some news regarding Magic Kingdom's new nighttime parade that is set to debut in the summer of this year. The parade got announced back in August during the 2024 D23 Expo to lots of fanfare, as Magic Kingdom has been lacking a nighttime parade ever since the Main Street Electrical Parade bid farewell back in 2016, so it's been 9 years at this point. The parade, called Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away, will, quote, continue the nighttime spectacular legacy started by the Main Street Electrical Parade, using the latest technology to tell new stories about the characters you love. All of this is brought to life by the magic of the Blue Fairy, in addition to beloved characters from Walt Disney Animation Studios films Peter Pan, Frozen, Encanto, and more, end quote. The concept art you're seeing now is actually some older concept art that Disney initially shared with us back in August, but since my time covering it, we've actually received 2 more pieces of concept art to take a gander at. The first one was released back in November and depicts a float inspired by the Walt Disney Animation Studios film Moana, and the second one is a little bit more recent. This 4th piece of concept art depicts a new take of the iconic Disney princess float and features Aurora, Tiana, Cinderella, and Belle. What's especially cool about this float in general is that the design of this particular float takes inspiration from the concept art that Disney legend Mary Blair worked on for the film Cinderella back in the 1950s. Quote, anchored by a gleaming fountain of light that overflows to illuminate a cosmic ballroom, the float is just one piece of the constellation of classic and contemporary stories that make up this new parade. Disney Starlight will be a parade featuring nods to the past with our eyes firmly set on the future, as we draw inspiration from not only the rich history of Magic Kingdom's nighttime parades, but also from Walt Disney Animation's earliest feature films, end quote. Another final detail to note is that in addition to the new concept art, Disney also shared a sneak peek at some of the costumes being designed for the parade as well. In this photo Disney shared, they make it clear that the costumes are just as important as the floats are, and that the Disney Live Entertainment costuming team is hard at work designing each outfit to be, quote, kissed by starlight, and it looks great. But besides that, those are all the new details we have for Disney Starlight, and I have to say, everything that Disney has shared with us so far looks fantastic. It's great to see that Disney is making a worthy investment in what is shaping up to be a must-see new nighttime entertainment offering here at Walt Disney World, and I think it's going to be great. And not to put any pressure on Disney, but I think they know that this parade has to be good. Magic Kingdom's legacy of past nighttime parades include fan favorites like the Main Street Electrical Parade and Spectral Magic, so crafting a 3rd nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom with what most would consider legendary predecessors is a bold undertaking, but I have a lot of faith in Disney. If it's done right, Disney Starlight has the potential to draw some insane crowds to the Magic Kingdom this upcoming summer, and I believe Disney knows this. But let me know what your thoughts are on Disney Starlight in the comments below as we head on over to Adventureland for our next Magic Kingdom update. Really quick, another minor update here in Adventureland is that Disney just got done redoing the pavement here. And this all used to be just plain red, unthemed concrete. But now, as you can see, it's textured and it's got some theming and it looks really, really, really good. And this extends all the way from the entrance of Adventureland all the way down to Aladdin's magic carpets. Another thing that just occurred to me here in Adventureland is that a portion of the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse is under refurbishment, as you can see by some of the black scrims. It is still open. As you can see, there are people actively going inside the treehouse, but this one section at the base of the tree is currently blocked off. I think they're doing some repainting. Let's get a closer look at some of this refurb that's happening. I have not been inside this treehouse in a very, very long time. It's a great little area, super duper fun to explore. Yeah, so really it's just this little area right here at the base of the tree. It's still open. Don't really know what they're doing, but there are some black tarps. Again, I want to say it's probably some repainting. It's usually what this stuff indicates. Oh wow, there's even some stuff happening on this side too. Right here. Not really good show. Doesn't look that great, but the treehouse is still open. Here's a slightly higher up view. You can see that there's a ton of scaffolding. And then this right here, this is usually some sort of water feature. So that could be another thing that they're working on. Might be a plumbing issue that they're currently trying to fix. I don't know. Don't really know what's going on, but there's work happening on the treehouse. I don't see any workers present down there, but there's wood, there's materials. Yeah, I can't stress it enough. If you're ever bored at the Magic Kingdom, just come take a look at the treehouse. It's super fun. There's lots of fun little details. Also, come on guys, look at the view that you get from up here of Magic Kingdom, especially of Tomorrowland. Look at Space Mountain and Tron. It just looks so awesome. All right, everybody, now that we've actually made it over here to Pirates of the Caribbean, we can talk about some more visible construction progress that is not only happening with the new Pirates of the Caribbean themed tavern that is set to debut later this year, but also with the now closed for refurbishment Tortuga Tavern on the other side as well. Here in the corner of Adventureland, work is progressing quite nicely on the new Pirates of the Caribbean Tavern, which is slated to open in late 2025. Ever since my last update from back in August, a good portion of the gift shop as you exit the attraction has reopened to guests as construction becomes more consolidated. Now, if you recall, Tortuga Tavern across the way was temporarily dubbed as Tortuga Treasures, as it acted as a temporary merchandise location in the summer and fall. But last month, the merchandise moved back to its original location. As far as Tortuga Tavern goes, the seasonally open quick service restaurant is currently undergoing a lengthy refurbishment as crews replace the flooring all throughout the area. Now, it's unclear when Tortuga Tavern may reopen, but it's possible that Disney will want to aim to have the quick service offering back open sometime before the summer season. It's also worth noting that with this investment, it's possible that Disney may be looking into having Tortuga Tavern finally operate on a traditional schedule rather than just seasonally. But going back to the actual tavern across the way, there's not really much visible construction to report simply because the footage in this area is pretty difficult to capture, and the footprint of the tavern is kind of confusing. Regardless, we know that work is steadily continuing. It's just unclear of the scope of what that work may be. As far as new details go, Disney released one new piece of concept art back in November that depicts a secondary and less rowdy room as compared to the first piece of concept art. The original artwork we got portrays a much more lively atmosphere, while the second picture is definitely a lot more intimate and quiet. It's unclear how this tavern will function operationally, but given the artwork, it's likely that guests will be given a choice as to where they would like to sit in the tavern, making for a more customizable experience. But that seems to be the latest with everything happening here by Pirates of the Caribbean, and if you want the latest updates on this project moving forward, then I definitely recommend hitting that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. Alright everybody, well, as we progress slowly but surely here through Magic Kingdom, we are now here in Frontierland for arguably the biggest update that we have to cover in this video. And you may notice that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the wildest ride in the wilderness, is currently not operational. You may also notice that there is this giant crane right behind me as well, because currently Big Thunder Mountain is now closed for a very, very lengthy refurbishment. And you can definitely see just how quiet this corner of the park is now. It's kind of eerie, but lots to talk about regarding Big Thunder. Let's get straight into it. So back in early January, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad temporarily closed as it undergoes a massive 14-month-long refurbishment. What this refurb entails is a lengthy replacement of the ride track, some queue enhancements, and the addition of the exploding dynamite scene on the final lift hill that can be found in Disneyland. To get some closer footage, I hopped onto Tom Sawyer Island so you can clearly see just how big this refurbishment really is. At the end of January, the entirety of the coaster track was completely ripped up, and early installation of the new track has already begun. Thanks to this photo captured last week by Blog Mickey, work is progressing at a rapid pace as Disney works their way from the inside of the mountain to the outside. The giant crane positioned to the left of the mountain is the main tool assisting the construction crew with the refurb as it towers above the Magic Kingdom skyline. In fact, the crane is so incredibly massive that you can see it from all the way across the Seven Seas Lagoon, which is pretty crazy. Other visual work happening has been the installation of some scaffolding and scrims closer to the queue area as work begins there and in other parts of the attraction as well. As far as when Big Thunder Mountain will reopen, Disney has stated that this refurbishment will be lasting all the way into 2026, confirming that the attraction will not be reopening this year. I mentioned this in my last update back in October, but a recent permit filed by Disney indicates an expiration date of March 13th of 2026, meaning that it's likely that we'll see the attraction reopen around that time. Unfortunately, that's still over a year away, but given the impressive rate of construction that we've seen so far, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw the attraction reopen slightly ahead of schedule, possibly around this time next year in February. It's also worth mentioning that if you hop aboard the Walt Disney World Railroad going from Frontierland to Fantasyland, some new narration has been added just as you depart the station and pass Big Thunder. Take a listen.
There it is, Big Thunder Mountain. Now normally folks around here have a one-track mind for gold. But mining seems to have been derailed. They've been working on that railroad all the livelong day, though. So I bet they'll be full steam ahead in no time. Hopefully with some new bells and whistles.
Well, everybody, really quick, the riverboat is not running right now, which is mildly concerning. So I am here on Tom Sawyer Island, but it's really eerie and quiet over here. We have the massive crane, we have all this scaffolding. It's crazy. Now again, this refurb, all for good reason. I am not against this refurb at all. Big Thunder Mountain has been overdue for a refurbishment for a very long time. It's just crazy that it's closed for so long, and it's so eerie over here. Just wanted to take a moment to show you guys. Pretty crazy. Now, what makes this Big Thunder Mountain refurbishment that much more significant is that this is really only the beginning of what Disney's plans are for bigger things to come to Frontierland. Now, obviously, what I'm talking about is what Disney's plans are in terms of replacing the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, which is something I'm going to talk about next, but unfortunately, there have been some very significant delays with the construction starting on that project. So as far as what Disney's long-term plans are for Frontierland as a whole, many of you are probably already aware of Disney's proposal. Back in August, Disney announced that the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island would be getting leveled to make way for 2 new attractions based on Disney and Pixar's Cars. Disney provided us with this incredibly ambitious piece of concept art and stated that work was planned to begin in, quote, early 2025. Well, here we are in February, and we still have yet to hear of a closing date for the river and the island. As far as what has caused this delay in construction, it's kind of a long story, so I'll try to explain as simply as I can. Shortly after the 2024 D23 Expo in August, Disney filed a number of construction permits directly related to the Cars project in hopes of starting work sooner rather than later. The issue is that for this project in particular, Disney needs government approval from the state of Florida in order to begin work. The reason being is because this project poses a lot of logistical challenges that Disney usually doesn't need to worry about with their other projects. Issues include factors like flooding, impact on the surrounding wetlands, wetland environment and what Disney's procedures are to mitigate these things during the construction process. I mean, after all, Disney is literally planning on filling in a river that is directly connected to the Seven Seas Lagoon and undeveloped swampland, so environmental impact is a very big concern here. But getting back to the permits filed, the Florida government, or more specifically the South Florida Water Management District, sent the permits back to Disney a few weeks later in early September and requested a ton of new information. In between the back and forth tug of war that occurred between Disney and the district back in early December, Disney had a grand total of 120 days to submit the updated permits, or else their application would be rejected. And Disney really took their time getting the information back to the state, with the final deadline set for January 9th, 2025. Finally, on December 20th, 2024, Disney submitted the updated permits back to the state and are now just simply waiting for a response back. As I understand it, the state now has 60 days to respond to and most likely approve Disney's permits, and Tuesday, February 18th is exactly 60 days after December 20th. The permit, as seen here, outlines Disney's exact plans to demolish the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, and even shows Disney's plans to build multiple construction staging areas beyond the western berm of the park. According to the permit, these staging areas are planned to include 3 laydown yards that will also assist Disney with other future projects, such as the proposed Villains Land also coming to the park. Disney certainly isn't lying when they say these projects will represent the largest expansion in Magic Kingdom's history, as between the construction happening both inside and outside the park, the permit proposes an impact on surrounding wetlands of more than 300 acres, which is pretty insane. Now, quite honestly, I'm kind of surprised the permits still have yet to be approved, especially considering the state has just over a week to do so at the time of recording this. Hopefully that caught you up to speed on all the hassles this project has imposed on Disney's end, but until those permits get approved, the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island are not going anywhere. Now, obviously, this Cars expansion is still slated to happen, as the process of getting the construction permits approved is only delaying the inevitable. As far as when we could see the river and the island close, January has already come and gone, and we're already well into February, so I think a March or potentially even April closing date is most likely. I'd be shocked if this whole section of Frontierland stayed open into the summer, so a spring closure seems like the most plausible option at this point. Definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled in the coming weeks as we await some sort of update from Disney regarding this massive Magic Kingdom expansion, as work preps to begin very, very soon. And really quick, one other more minor update happening here in Frontierland is the now shuttered Frontierland Shootin' Arcade, which actually closed last summer in June. The shooting gallery was an original Magic Kingdom offering that had been here for over 50 years since the park opened, and is now being converted into a Disney Vacation Club lounge. Now, I'll spare you guys my rant on Disney's reasoning behind this decision, but the new DVC lounge is set to open this summer and will go by the name McKim's Mile House. Now, what's cool here is that the McKim name is a nod to the former Disney legend Sam McKim, an Imagineer whose conceptual artwork helped shape some of Disney's most iconic places in Frontierland and many of the parks around the world. And speaking of concept art, Disney even shared this image with us not too long ago, which depicts what the inside of the lounge will soon look like, perfectly fitting into the Frontierland atmosphere. Quote, nestled in the heart of Frontierland in the Magic Kingdom, McKim's Mile House will offer a cozy and convenient retreat for DVC members to share stories and recharge during their day of fun. Experience the rustic charm of a space inspired by boarding houses that accommodated tired train travelers during the gold rush days of the American West. End quote. All things considered, that seems to be all the latest info we've heard regarding this new lounge, and I have to say, even though it won't be something that not every guest will be able to experience, I do appreciate Disney taking their time when it comes to the theming of the lounge, as I think the concept art looks great. There's not really much visual work we can see happening, but it is noteworthy to share that just last week, a new permit was filed by Walt Disney Imagineering for the installation of some new signage, and it's believed to be related to the lounge. And considering the Frontierland Shootin' Arcade closed in late June of last year, it's possible that Disney will want to aim for an opening date of around that same time this year, somewhat mirroring what what closed before it. There's certainly lots of updates happening here in Frontierland, and if you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you sticking with me. But before we officially wrap up today's news coverage, there's one more thing we need to discuss on the opposite end of the park in Tomorrowland. All right, everybody, and then for our final update in today's video, I'm kind of surprised to say it, but we're actually here in Tomorrowland, and if you look behind me, you may notice the Astro Orbiter, and if it looks a little bit different, that's because it is currently undergoing a massive refurbishment as well. Back in mid-January, Astro Orbiter closed here in Tomorrowland for, you guessed it, a lengthy refurbishment. Now, as far as details go, Disney has been pretty quiet on this refurb and only provided us with a reopening time frame of sometime this summer. When it comes to Disney's reasoning behind the refurbishment, it remains unknown for the longest time, but that was until work actually begun on the attraction. Astro Orbiter temporarily closed about a month ago on January 13th, and it wasn't long until we spotted some very noticeable changes. A portable crane was temporarily set up near the entrance of the People Mover last month, indicating that a rebuild of the attraction was likely. And sure enough, we slowly saw the removal of the surrounding planets and rockets, and eventually the entire attraction ride system as well. All that remains is the silver orbital disc at the top of the structure, which will most likely stay intact. Again, details are very few and far between regarding this hefty refurbishment, but it's nice to see that Disney is making the investment to improve the functionality of the attraction. Astro Orbiter is not a very high capacity attraction, especially considering one of the elevators to get up to it has been out of commission for quite some time. So I appreciate Disney for doing this. And while I wouldn't get my hopes up, there is the possibility that alongside this rebuild of the ride mechanics, there's a chance that we might even see some aesthetic changes occur when the attraction eventually reopens. For the past few years, Disney has been making some slow but noticeable changes to Tomorrowland as they try to steer away from the 1990s spaceport theme and revert back to a more clean and timeless Tomorrowland from the 1970s. Especially now with the addition of Tron, the land is kind of stuck inside an aesthetic clash between the two themes, and visually changing the design and colors of Astro Orbiter would definitely help. Besides Space Mountain, Astro Orbiter is kind of like an icon of Tomorrowland in and of itself, so it'll be interesting to see what Disney's plans are when the attraction eventually returns sometime this summer. Well, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope that you enjoyed. There was a lot happening today at the Magic Kingdom. There's a lot of small updates going on, and of course, there's a lot of big updates going on as well. So I'm glad I was able to cover a nice wide variety of updates here at the park. There's a lot of investment happening, which is really, really, really great. And again, I know that you guys like this kind of stuff. I love covering this kind of stuff as well. So it's always great to just kind of showcase what's new and improving here at the parks. And again, there's going to be plenty more updates to come. If you watched my last video, I was over at Hollywood Studios discussing everything going on over there. Obviously today we're at Magic Kingdom, and there's going to be more updates coming from both Epcot and Animal Kingdom separately as well. So I'm going to be doing construction updates at all 4 parks, 2 down and 2 more to go. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on so you never miss any updates, especially right now because we have a lot more stuff to cover. But my name is Bobby. This has been It's a Small Vlog, your Magic Kingdom February 2025 construction update. And with all that out of the way, have a magical day, everybody. Bye.